following morning, the screwing started just as the sun rose over the resort. At first, everyone thought it was excitement, one of those high-pitched bridal shrieks that came from joy, not horror. But when the bride's mother came running across the marble terrace, barefoot and shaking, clutching her phone to her chest, everyone knew something was wrong. The photographer dropped his camera. Guests in silk robes stumbled out of their rooms, and within minutes, the entire luxury resort, draped in white orchids and champagne ribbons, turned into a crime scene. Police arrived before the ceremony could even begin. The bride's veil, still untouched, lay folded beside a half-eaten breakfast tray, and by the infinity pool, where rose petals floated gently across the water, there was blood. The maid of honor was hysterical. The best man refused to speak, and the bridesmaid in the corner, the quiet one, the one with trembling hands and red eyes, just kept whispering one thing under her breath. I told her not to go through with it. No one knew what she meant, but by the end of the day, everyone would. 48 hours earlier, the drive to the resort was supposed to be relaxing. Sunlight spilled over the hills, the ocean glittered in the distance, and a soft breeze moved through the open windows. But for Tessa, it felt like suffocation wrapped in luxury. She would promise herself she wouldn't come, that she would find a reason, any reason to skip her best friend's wedding. But when the invitation arrived, sealed in gold foil and scented with jasmine, she knew there was no way out. Not when Harper was the bride. The car turned off the highway, gliding towards Rosecliff Cove Resorts, a place that looked like something out of a lifestyle magazine. All white walls, infinity pools, and staff that smiled too much. It should have felt like paradise. Instead, Tessa's stomach twisted with every mile. At the entrance, she spotted the other bridesmaids laughing, clinging champagne glasses, and dragging suitcases across the marble hallway. She forced a smile as she joined them. Look who finally showed up. One of them, Eva, teased. Thought you would bailed. Tessa shrugged. Wouldn't miss Harper's birthday. Her voice didn't even sound like hers. Then, the bride herself appeared, Harper Morgan, glowing in a white sundress and oversized sunglasses. She looked like perfection wrapped in diamonds. But when her gaze met Tessa's, her smile flittered for half a second, just one heartbeat of tension. Tessa, Harper exclaimed, pulling her into a hug. I'm so glad you made it. Tessa's arms stayed glued around her. Yeah, she thought, you would be. Because only the two of them knew what had happened last summer. The secret that had been buried. The lie that had kept everything intact. And as Harper turned away laughing with the others, Tessa noticed something chilling. The groom, Ethan Ward, was watching her from the balcony above. He wasn't smiling. He just lifted his glass slowly, like a warning.
The rehearsal dinner. By the time the sun dipped into the horizon, Rosecliff Cove shimmered with golden lights. Soft music floated across the courtyard where tables had been dressed in ivory, linens and polished silverware. It looked like perfection, the kind of picture every bride dreamed of. But Tessa knew better. Perfection always hid the cracks. She sat at the end of the long table, nursing a half-empty glass of white wine while everyone else buzzed with laughter. Harper, radiant and effortless, stood at the center of it all, her hand looped through Ethan's arm, her smile practiced and perfect. They looked happy. They looked in love. And for everyone else, that was enough. Tessa, Ava called, waving her fork. You've been so quiet. You and Harper used to be inseparable. What happened? A few heads turned. Tessa's throat tightened. People grow up, Ava. Harper's eyes flickered toward her, just for a moment. It was subtle, but Tessa caught it. That silent, desperate plea. Don't start anything tonight. So she didn't. Instead, she smiled and raised her glass. To Harper and Ethan, she said softly, "May the truth never ruin what love can't fix." A few people laughed awkwardly, thinking it was a joke. Harper's smile, however, froze in place. Ethan's eyes locked on Tessa again, the same cold stare from the balcony. Then he leaned in to whisper something to Harper, his lips brushing her ear. Her knuckles turned white around the stem of her glass. The live band started playing, saving everyone from the tension. Chairs scraped, conversations shifted, and laughter returned, but the mood had changed. As Tessa slipped away toward the beach for air, she heard footsteps behind her. Purposeful. "Tessa," Ethan's voice came, calm but sharp. "We need to talk." She turned, arms crossed. "About what?" He smirked, stepping closer until the lantern light hit his face. "About the fact that you shouldn't be here." Her heartbeat quickened. "You're marrying my best friend, Ethan. I have every right to be here." He tilted his head. "Not after what happened last summer." Her stomach dropped. "If you tell her..." He cut her off with a quiet chuckle. "Relax. I won't. But if you even hint at what really went down, I'll make sure you regret it." And just like that, he walked away, leaving her staring at the ocean, her reflection trembling in the dark water. The secret wasn't as buried as she thought. And Ethan was reminding her that the past never stays dead for long. The secret slips. The next morning came too bright, too calm, the kind of day that felt wrong after a sleepless night. Tessa had barely closed her eyes. Every time she tried, she saw Ethan's smirk, heard his voice, felt the weight of that one word, regret. By noon, everyone gathered by the pool for a bridal chill day, as Harper called it. Sun hats, champagne, and curated playlists, like the night before hadn't been dripping in tension. Harper sat between Ava and another bridesmaid, Nina, laughing over mimosas. Tessa tried to blend in, but her mind buzzed with panic. Ethan hadn't spoken to her since the confrontation, but his gaze followed her everywhere. Steady, calculating. "Hey," Nina said, sliding beside Tessa. "You and the groom seem tense." Tessa nearly choked on her drink. "What?" Nina shrugged. "He keeps looking at you, and not in a friendly way." "Maybe you're imagining it," Tessa said, forcing a smile. But Nina wasn't convinced. "Harper's my cousin, Tessa. If there's something I should know before tomorrow, you'd better tell me now." Her voice carried a sharp edge, protective, suspicious. Tessa looked away, gripping the glass so tightly she thought it might crack. "There's nothing to tell," she lied. Before Nina could respond, Harper's phone buzzed on the table. She grabbed it, glanced at the screen, and froze. The smile slipped right off her face. "Everything okay?" Ava asked. Harper blinked, forcing a laugh. "Yeah, just wedding stress." She quickly locked the phone and tucked it under a napkin, but not before Tessa caught a glimpse of the message on the screen. "Unknown number. Does Ethan know what you did last summer?" Tessa's blood ran cold. She stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the tiles. I need some air." Harper's eyes shot up, alarm flashing behind her calm expression. "Tessa ... wait," she whispered, but it was too late. Tessa was already gone, heart hammering as she rushed back toward the resort. Someone new, someone outside of their circle. And if that message reached Ethan, the entire wedding would unravel before the vows were even spoken. The disappearance. The resort turned strangely silent that evening. The music stopped. The laughter died. Even the waves crashing against the rocks sounded distant, like they knew something was wrong. By 7 p.m., Harper was missing. No one had seen her since she went to her suite to rest that afternoon. Her phone went straight to voicemail, and her handbag still sat on the pool chair beside an untouched glass of champagne. Ava paced the terrace in panic. "She's probably getting a facial or something," she said, voice trembling. "You know Harper. She's dramatic." Nina snapped. "It's her wedding eve, Ava. She wouldn't just disappear." Tessa stood apart from them, staring at the horizon, heart thudding so loudly she thought everyone could hear it. Because she knew Harper wasn't dramatic. Harper was careful. The kind of woman who double-checked guest lists and color palettes until perfection. She didn't just walk away. "Tessa," Ethan said sharply, striding toward her. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, his jaw tense. "Where is she?" The accusation in his voice made her chest tighten. "How would I know?" He stepped closer, his shadow swallowing hers. "Because you were the last one who talked to her." Ava gasped. "Wait, what?" Tessa's throat went dry. "No, I wasn't. We barely spoke all day." Ethan's gaze was piercing. "Then why did she tell me she wanted to talk to you?" "She said there was something she needed to confess before tomorrow." The blood drained from Tessa's face. "She said that." Before Ethan could answer, a staff member came running from the direction of the beach, panting and pale. "Sir? There's something by the cliffs." Everyone froze. They followed the man down the winding path, flashlights cutting through the growing darkness. The air smelled of salt and rain, the kind of heavy stillness that came before a storm. At the edge of the cliffs, they found Harper's white sandals, neatly placed. Beside them, her phone, screen cracked, battery dead. But there was no sign of Harper. Ava began to sob. Nina covered her mouth. Ethan just stared at the ocean, face unreadable. Tessa's knees nearly gave out, because tucked halfway beneath one of the sandals, the flashlight glinted off a small, silver pendant, one Tessa recognized instantly. It was hers, the necklace she'd lost last summer. And now, it was lying beside Harper's things. The accusation. The night swallowed the resort whole. The once beautiful paradise now buzzed with chaos. Police cars flashing red and blue against the white walls. Guests whispering behind closed doors. Staff huddled together in fear. Harper was officially declared missing. Detectives questioned everyone, moving from table to table like vultures circling a carcass. And when they finally reached Tessa, she already knew. She was the one they were circling around. "Miss Tessa Collins," the lead detective began, notebook open. "You were close to the bride?" "Yes," Tessa said quietly. "How close?" Her mouth went dry. "Best friends. Since college." He nodded, jotting something down. "And yet, according to Mr. Ward, you and the bride had a disagreement last night." Tessa froze. Ethan was standing nearby, arms folded, his expression unreadable. "It wasn't a disagreement," she said carefully. "It was a misunderstanding." The detective raised an eyebrow. "Did that misunderstanding involve the events of last summer?" Tessa's blood turned to ice. "What are you talking about?" He tilted the notebook. "We received an anonymous message this evening. It says, and I quote, 'Ask Tessa what really happened last summer.'" Her pulse thundered in her ears. "That's ridiculous." "Maybe," the detective said evenly. "But maybe not. Because we found something near the cliffs tonight. A silver pendant engraved with your initials." Tessa's throat tightened. "I lost that months ago." "Interesting timing," he said, snapping the notebook shut. "Don't leave the resort." As he walked away, Tessa turned toward Ethan. "You told them about last summer, didn't you?" She hissed. Ethan didn't even flinch. "I didn't have to. Seems someone else already did." She stepped closer, fury trembling in her voice. "You're enjoying this." He leaned in just enough that only she could hear. "Enjoying? No. Anticipating? Absolutely. Because if they keep digging, Tessa, they won't find Harper. They'll find you." Ava appeared from behind him, eyes red from crying. "Tessa," she whispered, voice cracking. "Tell me you didn't—" Tessa turned away before Ava could finish. Because the truth was clawing its way back. The truth about last summer. The lake. The blood. And the promise she and Harper swore to take to their graves. Now one of them was gone. And the other was running out of time. The flashback, 1 year earlier. The night had started like any other summer getaway. Laughter, wine, and reckless dares under a blanket of stars. Tessa, Harper, and Ethan had rented a lake house for the weekend. A secluded cabin surrounded by thick pine trees and quiet water that reflected everything except the truth. Back then, Ethan wasn't Harper's fiancé. He was just a friend. Tessa's friend. The kind who made her laugh until her stomach hurt. The kind whose eyes lingered too long when he thought no one was watching. Harper had joined them last minute, fresh from a breakup, desperate for distraction. She was wild that weekend. Barefoot dancing, late night swimming, skinny dips under the moonlight. It was supposed to be harmless fun. Until the argument. Tessa remembered the way Harper's voice cut through the night. "You think you're better than me, don't you? You think he actually likes you?" The dock had creaked beneath them as Tessa tried to calm her down. "Harper, you're drunk. Don't Harper me. You're pathetic." Then Ethan appeared, shouting from the cabin. "Both of you, stop." But Harper only laughed. The kind of laugh that carried pain and danger in equal measure. She stepped backward toward the edge of the dock. Arms spread. "You think you can take everything from me? Watch this, Tess." Tessa reached out. "Harper, don't." There was a slip, a scream, and then a splash so loud it split the night open. By the time they pulled her from the water, Harper was coughing, gasping, eyes wide with fury. She was alive, but the look she gave Tessa froze her blood. "You'll regret this," Harper whispered. "If I go down, I'll take you both with me." The next morning, no one spoke of it again. Harper and Ethan left early. Tessa stayed behind, burned by guilt, telling herself it had just been an accident. But weeks later, Harper called her, voice calm, almost sweet. "If anyone ever asks about that night, Tessa, we say nothing. Agreed?" Agreed. And that was the beginning of the secret. A pact sealed in silence, fear, and something far darker than friendship. Now, standing on the balcony of Rosecliff Cove, staring into the ocean, Tessa finally understood what Harper's last message meant. Someone else knew what happened that night at the lake, and they were done keeping it quiet. The confrontation, the storm rolled in without warning. Clouds swallowing the moonlight, thunder echoing over the cliffs. By midnight, the resort had lost power. The only light came from flickering candles and the red glow of the police. Vehicles still parked out front. Tessa couldn't breathe. Every hallway felt smaller. Every whisper sounded like a threat. She was halfway to her suite when she heard a voice behind her. "Leaving so soon?" Ethan stood in the doorway, drenched from the rain, his shirt clinging to him. He looked unhinged, too calm to be innocent. "I'm done playing your games," Tessa said. "I'm going to the police. I'll tell them everything." He stepped forward, blocking her path. "Everything? Including the part where you pushed Harper into the lake?" Tessa froze. "That's not what happened. That's not how it looked," he said softly, his lips curling into a cruel smile. "You forget, Tessa. I was there." Her heart hammered. "You didn't tell them the truth then. Why start now?" "Because," he said, stepping closer, "she's gone. And you're the perfect villain." She backed away until her spine hit the wall. "What did you do, Ethan?" He tilted his head. Do? Nothing. But maybe I should have stopped her from running her mouth. You know, Harper, she couldn't keep a secret if her life depended on it. Lightning flashed, cutting across his face, revealing something in his eyes that made her skin crawl. You're lying, she whispered. He laughed. Am I? Then a voice broke through the storm. No, he is. Tessa turned. Standing in the hallway, soaked and shaking, was Harper. Alive, her white robe clung to her like a ghost's veil, and her eyes were hollow but sharp. You really thought you could frame her? She said, stepping closer to Ethan. You've always underestimated me. Ethan stumbled backward, shock flooding his face. Harper, what the hell? I found the messages. Ethan. The blackmail, the deleted photos, the fake anonymous tips you sent to the police. You wanted her blamed. You reached for her arm, but Harper slapped him hard across the face. You tried to make her your scapegoat because you knew the secret would ruin you. What secret? Tessa demanded. Harper's voice broke. The money. The insurance from the lake house fire. Ethan set it up. It wasn't an accident, Tessa. It was a cover-up. Ethan lunged forward, but Harper was faster. She pushed him, and his foot slipped on the wet marble. For a split second, everything slowed. Then, he fell, over the railing, into the darkness below. The thunder swallowed the sound of his scream. Tessa's body trembled as she stared down at the crashing waves. Harper stood motionless, rain soaking through her robe. The ceremony. By morning, the storm had passed. The ocean shimmered again. Calm, blue, and deceitfully beautiful, as if the night before had never happened. But the resort buzzed with quiet chaos. Police swarmed the cliffs. Guests whispered. The wedding, of course, was cancelled. Ethan Ward's body had been recovered at dawn. The official statement called it a tragic fall. No one dared question it out loud. Tessa sat on the terrace in the same bridesmaid dress she never got to wear, watching as white petals were swept from the ceremony floor. Every sound felt distant, muted, like a dream that refused to end. Harper walked toward her slowly, sunglasses covering her swollen eyes. Her once perfect curls hung damp around her shoulders. She looked exhausted. They're calling it an accident, Harper said softly. Tessa didn't look up. Is that what it was? Harper hesitated. It's what it needs to be. For a long moment, neither spoke. The truth between them sat heavy, invisible but alive. Finally, Tessa whispered, You knew he'd try something, didn't you? I knew he couldn't let it go. Harper said, sitting beside her. The money, the fire, the guilt, it was all catching up. He wanted to make someone pay. Tessa turned to her. So you let him think I'd take the blame. Harper's eyes glistened. You always said you'd do anything for me. The words stung, but Tessa didn't argue. Maybe Harper was right. Maybe loyalty had made her blind. From the distance, an officer called out, Ms. Morgan, we'll need another statement from you later. Harper nodded and turned back to Tessa. When this is over, we'll disappear. You and me. Somewhere no one knows what happened. But Tessa just smiled faintly. No, Harper. You will. Harper frowned. What do you mean? Tessa stood, brushing invisible dust from her dress. I already told the police everything. The fire, the money, the blackmail. It's all in my statement. Harper's face went pale. You didn't. I did, Tessa said quietly. Because I'm done keeping your secrets. For the first time, Harper's mask cracked, panic flashing in her eyes. You don't know what you've done. Tessa leaned closer, voice steady. Yes, I do. I just ended this. She walked away, leaving Harper frozen beneath the fading wedding arch, surrounded by the remains of the life she'd built on lies. As Tessa reached the lobby, a reporter's voice carried through the crowd. Breaking news. The bride's statement contradicts the groom's financial records. Police suspect foul play. Tessa didn't stop walking. Not when the cameras turned. Not when the whispers began. Outside, the air smelled of salt and rain. Fresh, cleansing, final. And for the first time in a year, she felt free.
1 year later, the island had long forgotten the world wedding. The tabloids moving on. The results revealed, and the whispered faded into memory. But for Tessa Morgan, the story never really ended. She now lived 3 states away, in a small coastal town where no one recognized her name. She ran a quiet bookstore by the sea, the kind that smelled like vanilla and old paper, the kind that made you forget the world could be cruel. Every morning, she opened the shop with a cup of coffee and a sigh of peace. She didn't miss the luxury, the designer chaos, or the way Harper used to pull her into secrets like whirlpools. Until the morning the letter arrived. No return address, no name, just her handwriting. Tess across the front. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Inside was a simple photograph. Harper, standing in front of a palm tree, wearing sunglasses and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. In the corner of the photo was a date, last week, and behind her, half hidden in the frame, stood a man in a linen shirt, with an watch. Tessa's breed caught. She turned the photo over. On the back, a single line was scrawled. Some vows are harder to break. The room seemed to spin. A coffee slipped from her hand, shattering on the tiled floor. For a moment, she thought she imagined it all. The letter, the photo, the impossible truth. But when she looked again, the photo was still there, and the ocean outside her window suddenly felt too familiar. Somewhere out there, someone was watching, waiting. And the past, her beautiful, dangerous past, wasn't finished with her yet. And that is another chapter from Blessing Storyverse. If this story hit you in the feels, leave a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, because trust me, the next plot twist is even crazier. Until next time, keep living like the main character. Bye.